Hello and thank you for joining us on the midweek edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. Today on the program, APC extends sales of nomination forms to May 10 as Fayemi, Oshiomhole, Akpabio, Badaru join presidential race on platform of APC. And later on the show, Karim Benzema's extra time penalty completes epic Real Madrid comeback to set up Champions League final against Liverpool. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Emmanuel Akidibua. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for staying with us. It's a season of politicking in Nigeria as the politicians are at their game, bearing great gifts for their electorate ahead of the 2023 elections. Some exotic cars, which include 14 Mercedes-Benz, 8 Prado SUVs, 4 Toyota Hilux, and 4 Lexus LX 570 were distributed to influencers to promote the governorship ambition of Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami. But Malami said it was his friends and associates who sourced the money for the 30 expensive cars distributed in KEBBI State in support of his governorship aspiration. In the midst of this growing poverty in Nigeria, what we see politicians display this season, what's the way they go about, this campaign and even seeking nomination forms. Now we saw these SUVs, we saw some people will tell us that, yes, it's their committee of friends that came together that to gather money to pick up the nomination form for them. Now Malami is telling us what you don't know now. You can't afford this SUV, Jide. You mean for a person like Malami, he cannot afford the exotic cars to distribute his father. You want to become the governor of the state, for crying out loud. He's ready.
Well, this is a season in which we see all kinds of oddities. So one is not supposed to be surprised. And the politician always has a way of explaining away these things. You see, the Constitution forbids receipt of gifts or bribes except when given for cultural reasons. So the politician continues to exploit that lacuna. For example, if in celebration of your birthday or you lost maybe an uncle or someone, the Constitution permits me to give you, permits you to receive gifts on such occasions. So you now have a situation in which an individual will claim that his father died and then people will be bringing gifts. When you now ask the question about this same father, you said you buried him, you say, oh, this person is just like a father to me. He raised me, he joined my parents in raising me and all that. They always find a way. They always find a way to escape the long arm of the law. Like in this case, now I can tell you the bulk of the money being used to buy these forms are just public funds.
Honestly.
It's difficult for an individual who has sweated to make money to just go and be,
to buy 100 million nomination form.
It's not 10 naira that we are talking about because they've made it look like honestly, it is such a small
At the end of the day, APC will get up to 30 billion naira from this exercise, from our projection.
So going back to Malami, because we are still going to the other issue. Going back to Malami, Malami is claiming that no APC stakeholder was among the people who benefited from these exotic SUVs, that these were members of his academia, development foundation and all that, some NGO that is set up. So invariably, you will still, there is no way you will not say, Malami's hand is in this thing, because the donation was made to an NGO that is set up. He's saying that, oh, the people, none of the stakeholders. But there's no way there won't be politicians amongst these people who got this. You know, we know that he wants to contest the election, though he's holding on to his position. I don't know why he's scared to resign. He's scared. He and some of the people in the government, they are scared to resign. Even the president said that he feels like going. He's already spent many years on as president. He feels that it's time to rest. But some people don't want to give up their positions even for 1 minute. The
power.
Yes, they don't want to give it
Authority.
up. They know what comes with it. So he wants to contest for governor while still holding on to the post of Attorney General. Yes. So whether it's just, I just sense that the rate at which politicians use public funds for
monetization
of
our everything in Nigeria, it's going to be difficult for a poor man to jump into this trail. Number one, you can't even get the nomination form. If you have the idea, if you have the capacity, if you have the competence, if you have everything, that will just perish with you because you don't have money.
And I think it's shameful for many young Nigerians, part of whom I represent as well. It's shameful that we cannot even aspire to any form of public service without having money bags, either as godfathers, or you can actually circumvent the system to, get public funds to do all this. It's quite shameful. As the Attorney General of the Federation, we expect you to be an embodiment of law and order, being a government official. Who are these persons that he has refused to name, who bankrolled exotic vehicles, and for what purpose? As a law officer of the country, you should be accountable to explain why this is done and why is it done at this time. There are insinuations that you want to go for a certain office, and you have even come out to admit that, yes, this is actually done for that purpose. I think it speaks so loudly about the level of integrity of people that we have occupying public offices. At a time when the economy is struggling, at a time when resources can be put to better use, these vehicles, none of them are Nigerian brands, by the way. Hard-earned currencies are used to bring these cars in for one man's political ambition. By INEC rules, campaigning or all form of politicking cannot start until maybe when it's certain period to the general elections. But we've seen politicians, just like Biki O'Reilly pointed out, flouting the rules here and there, even when it comes to their declarations and the way they carry out their politicking. It makes it look like we are just a banana republic. Laws and orders are thrown out of the windows for certain ulterior motives and personal gains and ambition. So it's shameful, and I think history would never forget this period. MALAMI, like many of us already know, has always been at the back of circumventing even court decisions by this government. We know many a times the Buhari government have not respected court orders and decisions, and the Attorney General, who's supposed to be the law officer in the executive arm of government, has always been at the forefront of misinterpreting or giving different interpretation to this rule. But we've seen here now that even what is happening now is becoming another charade of a sort.
Jide, what is happening to that the clause of the Electoral Act asking these guys to resign, to drop that, they say 1 month to the primary election is even in the APC guideline. We've read the All Progressive Congress, if you want to contest this coming primaries, 1 month to your primary. And nothing has shifted that. But some of them are still holding on to this offices. Are they expecting the Supreme Court?
I said that the Attorney General probably has been giving some of his colleagues in the cabinet the confidence that nothing will happen, that maybe he's confident that there will be a judgment
in their favor.
Yes. Many of them think that that portion is discriminatory. That I work for you, for example, you are the boss. You are also holding an elective position. You are not compelled to resign. But I am compelled to resign. They see that as discriminatory. It's part of what they have against that portion of the Electoral Act. But the way it is, the law is the law. Others are resigning. Governors are compelling their
state level. Yeah,
if you have ambition, resign. But perhaps the fear of the unknown is the reason people like Amechi, Abubakar MALAMI, and even Chris Ngige, although I'm not aware if Ngige has paid the
nomination from
Wajuba too. How do you, what kind of politicians are we dealing with? If the law says you should step aside, why are you scared?
If you are really passionate,
why are you
that you want to
scared?
go and serve your people in the next level,
why are you scared? What if the president says today that you should go? What is, did you come into this world with the ministerial position? Why are you scared to step aside and let the law?
Assume the appointment becomes an elective office of a sort. I mean, it's really shameful.
No, it's the advantage that comes with it.
The perks, the
advantage,
the power, everything,
the influence,
that gives
the
you
power.
over.
Nigerians, once you step out of the vortex of power, Nigerians they will stop calling your line. They will just abandon it. Jonathan said it that the people used to disturb him with calls. The moment he lost that election,
the result was announced.
He still had 2 months to stay as president. They even stopped visiting Aso Rock. And some of them were visiting the president-elect.
So
that's the way they just forget you
go to
instantly.
the defense house then.
They forget you instantly, as if you no longer matter. Perhaps that's how people like MALAMI are reasoning. Because if your party has given the directive that you people should step aside, why are you still holding on to, and you have told us that you want to contest? You've already told us.
Okay, if we fail to live by example, then we have no choice than to be made example of. The Ekiti State Command of the Nigerian Police has arraigned one Pastor Noah Abraham of the Christ High Commission Ministry for allegedly demanding 310,000 naira from members of his church at Omowe, Ekiti, in Ekiti State's local government area of the state, as tickets to heaven. Pastor Abraham was arrested by the police and arraigned before the magistrate's court in Ado-Ekiti on a 1-count charge of obtaining money under false pretense. We said it day before yesterday that this man should be charged for the police. They call it OBT, and that's exactly what he has been charged. And that man from Ekiti local government, from Omo Ekiti,
yes,
telling his church.
That's my former adopted, my former adopted local government.
Yes.
All kinds of people call themselves pastors these days, and they benefit from having gullible congregation. How can anybody who is not deranged be told that there is a ticket to heaven? That a mere mortal, an individual created just like you, is the custodian of that ticket. You want to go and collect the ticket. I mean, if indeed, let's break it down this way. If indeed there can be a ticket to heaven, will it be that cheap? Given what we have been told about heaven.
I would have obtained mine. No.
It's not even up to the amount you pay for visa to any of these countries.
That's why, should it be that cheap?
310,000. I would have bought more.
That's where they should have known that they were dealing with a scamster. But for these people, it's like semi-madness is when you can't even explain your own actions. It's like they can't process their own
at all.
Thoughts.
Clarity of mind is not there.
They can't, they don't know what they are doing. Because how can you allow someone to con you in this manner, and somebody left, some people traveled all the way to go and book appointment, to honor appointment with this man.
Parents were calling their children outside the country.
That come,
send
we
money.
need, I learned that there's another pastor somewhere in Karu who sells anointed in inverted commas, anointed handkerchief. Karu in Abuja. He sells anointed handkerchief for 300,000 naira.
They call it mantle.
So you now think, okay, with that handkerchief, no evil can befall you. You sleep, even if you leave your doors open,
No thief.
armed robber or no burglar will enter your house. We have tolerated this kind of characters for too long. I was reading all kinds of stories about some evidently deranged pastors. I saw one pastor arrested for raping woman in Ondo, pastor arrested for raping a woman and her daughter, pastor arrested for raping pregnant woman, pastor arrested for camping, feuding housewife and daughter, pastor arrested for luring church member, 2 others to his house for sex, pastor arrested with drugs at Lagos airport. A lot of the people who claim that they were called, nobody called them, they called themselves. They should stop deceiving themselves. CAN and PFN, because every never do well now. Everyone who cannot find a job to do suddenly imagines himself to be a pastor. So CAN and PFN, they have a lot of work to do. Maybe some of the time that these religious bodies devote to politics, they actually need to try to sanitize. They need to sanitize the body of Christ, or what is it called? The so-called body of clergymen. They need to sanitize them because this is really shameful. This is really shameful.
Emmanuel, there's one that even said he went to the mountain to go and pray. At the end of the day, that he was asking God to give him the master key, and God eventually gave him that master key. And I watched that video and I was smiling.
It's shameful that the freedom of religious expression that we have, some scammers and the characters that BK rightly described have taken advantage, and of course the socio-economic issues that the country is facing, taking advantage of that to obtain or to take advantage of people. These are not the first time we hear that. I mean, during the Obasanjo era, I think the NBC clamped down on expressing miracles on TV. Yeah, many Nigerians were saying, oh, it's anti-Christian, blah, blah, blah. But of course, it was for things like this, so that people will not be swayed into making decisions that would, make them prey into the hands of people like this who have ulterior motives. What can we do about a situation like this? I think we can only urge regulatory bodies like the PFN, Christian Association of Nigeria, to help sanitize the system. And of course, cases like this, like BK rightly pointed out, where religious, it's not really peculiar to Christianity alone, actually. It's peculiar, I mean, it goes around even the other religious denomination and bodies as well, that characters like this, we should sanction them, get them arrested and prosecute them, just like the State Police Command is doing. Because it's really hard to believe that someone would come up with a scheme to obtain money from people, telling them he wants to get them a ticket to heaven.
Okay, I have John calling from London. Thank you for joining us, John. Hello, John. John, are you there?
Hello?
Yes, please go ahead.
Hello, good afternoon. Yes, I just want to make a contribution.
Go ahead, please.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, John.
I'm here.
You're live.
Yeah, the issue of the pastor, I myself witnessed this long time ago. I think I was in the... Hello? Yes, I was in the service. And the pastor, a very big man of God, which I wouldn't want to mention, was preaching in the church, a very large church, one of the pastors in the land, in Nigeria then. And he said, all members should make sure they pay their tithe and offering, and you'll be issued you'll be issued with a booklet. And all you need to do is, when you get to your house, a strategic position place, probably the entrance of your house, make sure you put the tithe book. If you never default, I want to dare, I'm quoting the pastor now, I want to dare any armed robber that will enter that building. It is not possible. It cannot happen except you are not a committed tither. End of quote. And when we were going home, I told my wife, it was my girlfriend then, this happened about 25 years ago. When we were going home, and we drove past the building of the pastor, and I just pointed to my wife, look at the building of the pastor. In the entrance, so if you cannot see his building, the building in the compound because of the high fence with American fence wire and security personnel, Air Force, Army, and mobile police securing his own building. And I now told my wife, I said, look at this. Look at what pastor has said in the church. That members shouldn't bother about security. All they need to do...
Jide, did you hear him? So if you keep tithing, if you pay your tithes, armed robbers cannot come to your house. Okay. But he's heavily guarded. The pastor is always...
You see,
wow. Do what I say.
Because of the social problems that we face currently, a lot more of our people will still be conned. A lot more of our people.
Religion is the opium of the masses.
Because people think that the one way to get away from poverty and other issues is by going to these spiritual fathers to pray for you, to give you anointing oil and all that. It's just unfortunate. They are exploiting the unfortunate situations that Nigerians have found themselves.
No, and many
our viewers should not get it twisted. Some of us were born into churches.
And we remain Christians.
And we remain Christians, interestingly. So it's not we attacking any religion.
There's this demarcation between what these pastors are doing and people that are following
and what the holy books prescribe. It's not to be a Christian, you have to be Christ-like. You know, you have to be Christ-like to be a Christian. So if your attitude does not show that you have anything in common with Christ, then you are not a Christian. It's as simple as that. A lot of these so-called gods of men, who call themselves men of God, they are not even Christians in the first place. So people should be wary of who they go to seek spiritual help.
All right. We'll go on this break. When we come back, we'll talk more. Please don't go away. Thank you for staying with us. This is Journalist Hangouts. As the number of presidential and other aspirants on the platform of the All Progressive Congress, APC, swells, the ruling party is making moves to accommodate more. The APC National Working Committee has extended the party's seal of expression of interest and nomination forms for the 2023 elections to Tuesday, 10th of May. Meanwhile, more aspirants are joining the fray to get the APC presidential tickets. The latest are Governor of Ekiti State, John Fayemi, that of Jigawa State, Abubakar Badaru, and former national chairman of the APC, Oshiomhole, and Pastor Tunde Bakare of the Citadel Global Church, Lagos. Jide, it's getting hot, getting more interesting as the business side of it, APC is doing well. APC is doing well. So
the more the merrier.
the more the merrier. So the nomination was meant to close on Saturday. It has been extended to Tuesday so that more people will bring this money. And when you look at the capacity compared to the level of poverty in the country, and if APC, they are counting 20-something people as of now, that have dropped the 100 million naira. You begin to look at it. Man, is this 100 million naira?
Yeah, it's like 100 naira. They made it look like 100 naira. Between Wednesday last week and today, almost 10 people have joined the race. And you know, before now, people like Rotimi Amechi, had indicated their interest in the contest. They indicated their interest earlier. So we are saying that in just under 1 week, almost 10 persons, Kayode, Fayemi, Amosun,
Adams
Oshiomhole, we have Ken Nunamani, you know. So many of them. And you just wonder, what is going on? Is it not on the 100 million that we are talking about here? Is it 100 naira that we are talking about? Because, look, if the national chairman felt that, look, by increasing it to 100 million, that many people, or many unserious people, will be shut out. I can see some people here who have indicated interest to contest, that in my view are unserious people. Some of them can't win the awards. Yes. Some of the people who have gone to buy this form, to collect this form, some of the people who have indicated interest, they should check whether some of them deliver the awards. So I don't know what is driving this hustle.
Non-refundable.
I don't know what is driving this hustle. There must be something that we do not yet know. Because a friend of mine who is ordinarily very knowledgeable on matters like this, when we were discussing, he said, Jide, I feel, what is going on? I said, you that I always consult, you are the one asking me what is going on, because you can't explain this. You can't, it defies logic that we will have this crowd. And I'm saying it that, look, if some of them cannot win the awards, there are some of them who have a history of not delivering the awards. Yes.
Some of them cannot win their local government.
Some of them can't win their local governments. But they are going to put down 100 million to say they are contesting for presidency. These people. How many elections have some of them even won to start with? Some of them, do they even have a history of winning elections on their own? That they contested on their own and won? So where do you... I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't understand. Some said, oh, they are using this to position themselves for future appointments and all that. Only God knows who is talking to them. Because there seems to be an unseen hand that is telling you, go and contest, you, go and contest, you, go and contest. There seems to be an agenda to ensure that as many people get into the race, especially from southern Nigeria.
And it's because it will be very difficult to manage situation like that for the permanent.
They are not even talking about that. They are interested in the money. Because the national chairman of the party said, look, we will use the money to prepare for the 2023 elections. So, of course, elections have become more expensive these days because of this see and buy thing. On election day, you give people money.
Stomach infrastructure.
So elections have become more expensive for parties. No doubt about it. You must first set aside billions to bribe the voter. The voter that you have not worked for over a period of 4 years, you then buy their conscience,
because of
buy
poverty,
their conscience on election day. This is the season of Dibo fún AWOSOPE. That's what they said in Ondo State.
That's where it started.
Yes, that's where it started. Dibo fún AWOSOPE. Some it is these rappers. They will just distribute rappers to women. That person may not come back to that constituency until another electoral season.
Yeah.
So you think you are not worth more than that rapper. Our people need to sit down and think. Because the politician has become more and more selfish. The politician thinks only about himself. But the people are allowing politicians to get away with blue murder because they don't ask them the right questions. They don't ask them the right questions. So I don't, this 100 million naira business, I mean, I don't understand though. That people, I said some of them are not serious, some of them can't win election, but they're going to buy for 100 million.
So if you can afford this 100, because me, I look at it from my own finances. If I have to put down 100 million naira for this expression of interest form and everything, how much will I have in my pockets to even run the whole the election, the campaign and everything?
Well, I think Babajide rightly, captured all the
look at the level of poverty in the country.
The shameful thing is that many of these people who are even coming to declare for this or for the exalted office of a president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria do not even have a clear manifesto. For them, it's just a contest of personality. Oh, I'm also big in my own right. I can also contest. If he can contest, I can also contest. There's no clear strategy. There's no clear structure. There's no clear concrete plans by most of these candidates to actually carry out good governance. Coming at a time when the country is battling with lots of external loans, the economy is almost grounded. This is not what we want. This is not the kind of distraction that we need to put in the faces of our citizens. This is not the kind of hope that we need to trigger that politics can, our government can actually bring a new ray of life for people. It's shameful because the politicians have turned our electoral process to another charade. It's like, okay, I dropped this amount, it's my own investment to the government so that when you get there, you remember that I also bought form and all that. We shouldn't reduce the office of the President of the Federal Republic to this. Yesterday we had Godswill Akpabio, the former governor of Akwa Ibom State, joining the race. This is a man who's been a two-time governor, who's been a senator, who's been a minister. You begin to wonder, what are the track records that he is bringing into office with? But let's not even go into the personalities. It's just quite worrisome that the office of the president is now an all-comers affair. We have other people who are also, still...
That's still Tuesday. We know. We
have other people who are still coming. I think there's a female candidate who's also bought the form already, who drew something. I can't really capture a full name now. Who also bought the form to contest the office of the president. And this is just coming from one party. The other parties are still there. It's quite worrisome for me.
Pastor Tunde Bakare joined the Frail today, and at least
Oshiomhole to pick this form.
Yes, he's on record. Tunde Bakare has never held any public office, and he's not a contractor. He's a pastor. So, we can say, look, that's government money.
He must be one of the very few people outside of government that have signified interest in the governorship, the presidency through the APC. It must be one of the very few outside of government. Majority of them have either been governor, or they are still serving senators, or they are still ministers, this and that. So
you know that, look, that money
is Abu, nothing Abu. That's what the Yorubas will say, that they are using Abu's money to host Abu to get together. It's still public funds circulating amongst these privileged people. They will now tell us that, oh, some of my friends came together to donate, to buy form. People know now that it's not that easy. Your friends. I said, for some of them who have no history of winning elections, or who have not consistently delivered their awards, what are you? How did you raise 100 million? There's a need to even investigate how some of these guys came about this money. The so-called committee of friends that they are pointing at as people who help them to raise the money.
Committee of friends got you SUVs,
even that one,
got you 14 Mercedes-Benz.
They are just flashing. They are flashing opulence in our faces. That look, people could be very poor. We are not that poor, because look, Benz LX 570. That's a lot of money.
A lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
14. 14.
We have no
8 Prado SUVs.
We have no. That one is not even saying he wants to be president. I said 100 million. 100 million is what we are talking about, not 100 naira. When they declared this, I was thinking maybe only about 4 people
will come out.
At the end of the day.
That will automatically streamline the number of people so that it won't be all comers. That was what.
Honestly, I didn't think that we will be able to get more than 4 or maximum 5. But those who have come out in 1 week, they are already in the region of 10.
Even in
under 1 week.
Even in a day, we had 4 alone. In just a day alone, we had 4. But of course, another twist to this that Biki also pointed out is, could there be a hand somewhere pushing people to come?
Encouraging them.
Encourage them
look,
to
the
come.
president will back you at the last minute.
And I think when we look at the zoning arrangements and the clamor for the presidency to be zoned to the southern region, that argument seems to also hold some water, because we know that perhaps before the end of the week, Ohane's Ndibu and a Pan-Yoruba group have said they would meet to discuss this number of aspirants coming from their zone and how we could actually scuttle the chances of these regions to get the presidency. Because it appears like some cards are being played that somehow the southern part of the country would be their own enemies and it will fall into the hands of the northern.
Spot on. Spot on.
It looks like...
okay, I have AWOSOPE calling from Lagos. Thank you for joining us, Sope. Hello.
Oh, good afternoon.
Yes, thank you for joining us, AWOSOPE.
Yes.
Have you picked your own form?
Good afternoon.
Go on.
Good afternoon.
You're live, AWOSOPE.
Yeah, thank you very much. The topic you are discussing is very, very interesting. I believe talking about MALAMI first. Talking of MALAMI first. The president is behind MALAMI and
you are listening to your TV. You are listening to your monitor. Is that
You're supposed to just keep talking. Don't stop. You are stopping. And we don't have time.
You are listening to the feedback from your monitor. Turn down the volume of your TV set. All right. Julie, we are looking at the general role now. The way our system has been, electoral system has been so monetized is starting from this nomination form. Yes. This is like the least order.
So even political parties have not set the right example.
Yes.
There ought to be a cap on even election.
The amount to pay to obtain these forms.
Yes, campaign spending and all that. There ought to be a cap. Now, there has to be, the National Assembly must come up with a law that puts a cap on how much parties can tell aspirants to pay. Because this one, whether we like it or not, they've succeeded in kicking some potential aspirants out of the race. Because if you are not part of their group, their rich group,
very rich,
you cannot. Where are you going to see 100 million? Where? And to qualify to be a president, you don't have to be rich. The former president of Brazil was a cobbler. He was a cobbler. Somebody who mends shoes.
The current president of Ukraine was an actor.
You know? So you don't have to be rich, thinkingly rich, because anybody who comes up with 100 million, whether he claims that it was donated by his committee of friends, it must be somebody who is very comfortable, who is rich. And we have to find a way to make sure that people who are not rich
are not shut out
also aspire.
Can also aspire and they
to be president.
Yes.
People who are not rich.
Shouldn't be
shouldn't be for only those who are rich. So I disagree with what the national chairman was saying, that he thinks that if people are not rich, if they don't have billions, that they've come to waste the time of the party. No. They should be able to. How can young people, for example,
without stealing government funds, without having access to government funds?
It is government funds that people are able to spend without looking back.
Recklessly.
You meet some people, you meet some big people, they have money, but they are reluctant to pass with it.
Yes, because it's hard-earned money.
Yes. They will already be thinking, can I give you this? You see some people count, but government money is what people are
it's easy
feel free spending it. And that's why some of them, once they step out of power, they will go and join the rival party. The winning party, they will go and join it. They cannot survive
outside
government office. And government money is the oxygen that they need
to breathe.
And it becomes, the politics has now become an industry of its own, that it's now becoming an investment that, okay, if I'm dropping 100 million, I know that in the next few months, I'm cashing out.
It's like you are buying a
We are monetizing our government.
Like you are buying a player, and after a few years,
You are buying a seat on the table.
Yeah, you sell that player for so much money.
Emmanuel Akindugwa, we are overing from sport to politics now.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Thank you for
Thank you
filling the gap.
for
Thank you.
the opportunity.
And the master himself, Babajide Kolade Steju.
Thank you so
Thank you for always being there. And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11 p.m. and join us every Sunday for Journalist Hangout on Sunday between 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. See you on Sunday for Journalist Hangout on Sunday.